Howdy folks, Kirk and Jay here with Kirk Giordano Plastering. Today what we're going to show you is how to repair a proud texture. Now these guys sent me a picture of this and another patch over here, and I said, well, I think we could fix that. It looks pretty proud. If I were you, I wouldn't have paid the guys who did it. And he says, well, that's interesting because I did it myself. I said, well, then it doesn't look too bad. But when I got here, Jay and I thought, holy crap, it was really proud. What we want to do is, he says, everything doesn't match. And with this blue weldcrete here, this is a bonding agent. It's a bonding agent that adheres concrete to concrete. But we're going to adhere stucco to this stucco. And I don't want to end up doing what he did. If I didn't kill the suction with this bonding agent, my first trowel full, it would go and suck in there that tight, and I wouldn't be able to get this smooth finish. This is pretty smooth. Now most folks who watch what we do probably will say, what the heck is he talking about? And I say, good question. What we did was, this was so proud, and if you put you'll see the difference. What we did is we put the bonding agent, because I want to kill the suction. And this was so proud, Jason broke it out with a hammer chisel. This is what it used to look like. You see all that stuff on the ground? That's how proud it was. So I told him, well, I can do the best I can with what I have to work with. So what we did is we mixed some stucco. Now this stucco here, I put some lime in it. Why did I put some lime? Because this is Portland cement. And Portland cement is great for this, but I don't want it to absorb too fast, otherwise I'll end up with what he had. It looks like somebody plastered this with a margin trowel, a little bitty trowel. So we want to smooth it out, so we got lime in this Portland cement, and lime just sets it or retards the setting quite a bit. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put another little bit of bonding agent on here, and you say, why? I left this open right here just so you can see what we had to work with. We hammer chiseled this off with our bulldog, or our rotary hammer. We use the rotary hammer to get some of this off because we're pretty good, but there's only so much you can do, guys, to get a wall true and plumb when it's out so far. So again, this blue stuff, that's just the bonding agent. What I generally will do with it out so far, it's a ½ inch past the original, is we'll feather this in first all the way around the perimeter, and then I'll come back and I'll hit this. And when I hit this smooth finish with sand, what's going to happen is it's going to want to dry real fast. And yeah, we'll see a small transition because you can't feather or trowel down sand that much. You're allowed a little leeway, and what we're going to do is feather it in as best as we can. And remember, we're only as good as what we have to work with. So, does this bonding agent have to be completely dry? Not really, but I'm going to give this 10 minutes. In the meantime, we're going to do something else. And if this drips down past the wall, guys, it's not a big deal because this can be painted right over. It's a bonding agent. It is not a primer. Anyway, give us 10 minutes and we're going to let this soak in a little bit, and we're going to show you how we match this smoother finish with a few lines and humps rather than this finish here, which was so it was a goner. It was really, really proud. So we want to get rid of that. Now we have some Portland cement right here. That's just Portland cement mixed 1 part Portland, 3 parts sand. What I'll generally do is go over the perimeter. And remember, this has got sand in it, so when it hits this this smooth finish, we could only go so so smooth the transition. The transition is going to be the hardest part here, but I think we can handle it. Up. All right. So adding a little extra cement where I want to build out. All right, that's quite the stretch. Now, after I'm going to put a little bit more on this transition. Because we want to build that out thicker. And stucco, again, we're only as good as what we have to work with. Anybody who says, well, why not just tear the whole thing out and redo it? Because there's a membrane under here. And if we tear that membrane under here and we didn't do it, I don't know what we might find. Last thing we do want to find is, get off me, is, well, we don't want to damage the membrane. Anyhow, so what we're going to do, guys, is now we're just going to skim it. And I'm going to use water in a minute to make it a little bit smoother, guys. This mud right here is perfect mud. If it was a little lighter, meaning a little wetter, or a little heavier, can I still use it? Yeah, it's been raining a lot, so we got some rock. Typical, get off of there. That already looks a lot better than what they had, but we are far from finished. Okay. Blam. Let's see what we got. I personally would rather have this mud just like this, because if it's too soupy, we'll have to wait too long. And again, it's been raining, it's winter time. So the rain sometimes gets on a bag, and sometimes when we get material from the yard, the material has rocks in it. They say, shouldn't all the material be clean and free of little rocks? Sure, it should be. But in a perfect world, not quite, guys. Because our material yard has many other types of rocks, say like gravel. And when you take a tractor and you go from one bin to another, sometimes the rocks are still in there from another pile. So we got to deal with that as just part of the nature of what we do, guys. We're used to it. In this part, anybody can do, say if you're a taper, you can do this. If you're a homeowner, yeah, you got to get familiar with the tools. And again, what is the main objective here? Is to smooth this finish here to the finish that's existing. And that existing finish is quite smooth. Okay, now rather than stretch, I'm going to take this little bitty bench and help myself, because if I stretch, This mud's gonna get all over me. So I'm gonna take the last dregs out of this bucket. And even we put a lot of lime in here. Lime just stops it from drying as fast. Plus it makes it spread a little bit better. And anybody called me and said, hey Kirk, where do you get your lime? We got our stucco at Westside Building Supplies. And the so-called lime is actually a plasterizer. We're in the UK, people say, hey, why don't you use this material or that? Well, we're in the US. We don't have the luxury of real lime plaster here, unless you go to a special yard, and then a bag usually costs $100 or $2 just for a little bag of lime. So we use what we have in this area, and that's so-called plasterizers. What's plasterizers? It's a form of lime. It adds flexibility, trowelability. So even if you're using the a plaster that doesn't have much capability to spread, like say some of the common plasters, there's common and then there's plastic. And depending on the one you use, it sucks up and dries almost immediately. So this is just a base coat, guys. Can I finish this right now? Let's find out. All right, we're gonna take our bucket of water. And what I wanna do is I wanna clean this trowel, but more importantly, I wanna wet it. Now, if I wet it, it smooths everything out a little bit. Now, granted, this has got imperfections in it. So we want to not make it smooth like glass, because this has got sand in it, and it would be kind of impossible to make it smooth like glass anyway, because we're troweling down sand. And each time you go over it, you should put water on your trowel. And if you find that the stucco is, some of the clumps are coming through, add more water. And you may have to add more stucco. Again, we're in winter time and we are subjected to whatever we get at the material yard. If we're using Felton sand or Ole sand, those are the fine sands. And granted, I want the finest sand they sell. But what we want and what we get are two different things. Okay, so that's close right there. In fact, hit it again. And I gotta let this set for about 10 minutes. In that 10 minutes, I'm gonna put a little bit more stucco on this because I can see some of these little holidays. Anyway, I won't bore you with that, and this does have to set up a few minutes, so we'll be right back. Okay, guys, I did the top because I don't want to bore the crap out of everybody. I know you're thinking too late. Okay, here's our perimeter. The perimeter is the hardest part on this. Giving this a smooth finish to match this smooth finish when it's got all kinds of inconsistencies in it, we're good. Okay, so I'm going to put some inconsistencies in it with this trowel. And if you got a trowel like this, guys, that works too. What we want to do is put some lines. See, they're lines, so we put a few lines here and there. And the idea is match what they got. And the hardest part on this, guys, is the transition. Now, here's what I like to do with the transition. This trowel, to go over the transition, it won't bend, it won't flex because it's solid. Now this trowel is flexible, so it'll get these a little tighter because you can't see it, but the trowel it's bending. It's flexible. Both sides are flexible. So we go over it, and I'm kind of partial to the green float. It just brings out the aggregate, guys. We're bringing out the aggregate, but we don't want the aggregate out. We want to blend it in. We want to hide it. This is the first time I always say we want to bring out the aggregate, but we don't really want to bring it out, guys. How thick is this, Leslie? Kirk's the best. It's not very thick, guys, but all we're doing is a skim coat. So let me get rid of my nonsense, and I'll show you the way Jay does it. Like, take this patch right here, for example. Now, Jay uses the old $2 brush, and that magic $2 brush works. You got to take this, it's just a little throwaway brush, but if you take it on edge, it actually doesn't bring as much of the aggregate out as a float will. A float will bring a lot more of the aggregate out. And the drier this is, the better it is, because then this surely won't bring out the aggregate. We're trying to blend that sand in, and once this brush has hardly any water in it, you just kind of go flat, guys. Don't point it. Go flat, flatten it out, and tap it. Now we're going to see some sand. In fact, when I left the material yard, I said, all right, guys, don't give me no rocks in this stuff. And it was like being in that movie, the first Rocky. I left, and the guy said, hey, Kirk. I said, yeah, man. He said, screw you. Anyway, that's when you go to a yard, they're supposed to have the fine sand, which is Felton or Ole. Do they always have it? No, 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 no. But we do the best we can with what we got to work with. So, get some more of this water out. And what I want to do, guys, is same thing Jay did over there. He got rid of the sand. And this aggregate is, it's the best we can get, guys. Anyway, I can leave it like that. And what you always want to do, guys, is cover that window. And I use the sponge float to clean this window off. Why? Because we don't want to cover this tape with this stucco. Otherwise, what's going to happen is we're going to pull this off, and all of that is going to be exposed. Come here, you. Okay. So, always cover your window, guys, because if you don't, the stucco will get all over your screen. It'll clog up these drain holes, which naturally allow the water out. Anyway, get this off, and we're going to call it a day. As Jay helps me clean up, I'm going to get this transition a little bit tighter. Anyway, guys, my name is Kirk. Listen on the camera. We thank you for watching, and as usual, we'll see you on the next one.
All right, folks, as always, we want to thank you all for watching. We really appreciate your questions and comments. Please let us know if there's anything you'd like to learn about. And as always, from the entire Giordano family, we'll see you on the next one. Okay, well, we're never going to get better than that, so...